Hey, okay, you are precariously balanced on my dashboard today. I brought my tiny microphone that I don't always love, but if I want to sit comfortably in my car and utilize the AC without it sounding like you are in a wind tunnel, this is how we are doing it today. Okay, so has been the case lately anymore? I have my notes. So here we go. Here is what I think I want to chat with you about this week. Have you ever felt like you're just checking the boxes? Have you ever had somebody tell you, that's not the right age for that? Like, that's not the way you should be doing this. Why are you even considering that? That's crazy. Have you ever had the realization that your 4-5-year-old is studying history when none of their counterparts are, and you sit and you wonder, why? What am I doing this for? And today, we're going to talk about that. Welcome back to Making Everyday Magic. My name is Shauna, and if you are new here, we are a homeschooling family of 4. We are in our 8th year of homeschooling. I have homeschooled. Both of my kids have quite a wide gap, and that is where a lot of this kind of took hold. Anyways, today let's talk about planting the seeds of prior knowledge. Before we go any further, please scroll down, hit the big red subscribe button, turn on that bell for notifications, and give this video a thumbs up. As always, you can find me right on down in the comments or over on Instagram at Making Everyday Magic. Hey, hi, how are you? So, yes, we're in the car. Why are we in the car? We are in the car because we have a jam-packed week. And if I do not utilize the time that I have, if I do not decide how I am running my time will run me, and I will not have a clear enough head to sit and do this well. And I will be jamming it into the end of the week in an effort to just get it done. And that's not always fun. Plus, I am sitting here at one of our many events, and the normal mom friend that I hang with is not here. So I might as well make good use of this time. And so I just brought you along in the car because, well, some days are like that, and this week is like that. And if you don't know, our week is very busy because we are hosting a party at this weekend. I will have a teenager, guys. A freaking teenager. Can you believe it? Okay, so let's jump into a bit of today's topic. So what I want to talk about is planting prior knowledge, how this serves us, why we're doing it, and what benefits there are to doing it. So as I started off this video, if you homeschool, I feel like you are somebody who is valuing education in all manners of life, which is the same way that my husband and I are. So even if we didn't homeschool, I feel like we would still be utilizing some of these things and discussing a lot of topics that are, above age level or above grade level. It just naturally is part of our vibe as people, as parents, as everything. So I have found that because there's such a spread on my girls, because I am homeschooling 7th grade and 3rd grade, because we started homeschooling when my youngest was a year old, less than a year old. We started homeschooling when my youngest was like 9 months old. So literally all of her memory is in some manner tied to home education. Now, there are things even still, I will combine as many subjects as I possibly can. And that is because, one, the little ones along for it anyway. Like, let's not kid. So every time we did a history in the car, even if we didn't do a history in the car, even if you're just doing a read aloud at home, your other kids are involved anyway. So for me, it made sense to just go ahead. And she was a kid who was ready. And I've got videos on homeschooling with toddlers. But she wanted to be included anyway. Like, this is a high point in her life that she can have her own history journal, that she can have access to the same things that her sister has access to. So planting prior knowledge for me is that I never pump the brakes with what I am exposing my kids to as far as grade level, ability, subject, history and kindergarten, things like that. And that is because I don't have unreasonable expectations for what I am expecting of my kids. So I will pour into them things that are above grade level, things that are bigger, meatier topics, but I don't necessarily expect the same output of them. So my 7th grader is writing full-on papers at this point, right? And my 3rd grader is not. So in combining history this year, or chemistry this year, for example, they have end of unit tests. And so, yes, my 3rd grader is doing middle school chemistry. But what she's really doing is coming along for the ride. So she is coming along for the lessons, the videos, the demonstrations, the hands-on experiments. And even when it comes to test time, my expectation of my 3rd grader is that she can answer multiple choice questions. My expectation for my 7th grader is that she can answer multiple choice questions, fill in the blank questions, and even open-ended questions. So I don't expect to have the same output. Now, you guys know this year, again, as far as planting knowledge or having expectations that are not dependent on age or grade level, we did Dinos 101 out of University of Alberta, Canada. And it's a college level course. Like, you can pay to have it transcripted and like legit on a college transcript. We didn't because no. But my 3rd grader took a college level course. Now, why did we do that? 1, she really wanted to learn more about dinosaurs. And 2, I just don't have a crazy output expectation for my kids when it comes to something that is well, far and above their level. Now, the ways that we are planting prior knowledge. 1, literal just exposure. So just exposure. When she can see a word or hear a word, for example, we can talk about chemistry molecules, and she can sit down, my kids can sit down and be like, oh, wait, I've heard about this before. Or if she is doing something in her geography and it starts to talk about the Mayans and the Aztecs, and then she knows, oh, wait, I've heard of this before. If we can sit here and just fall back on the knowledge from just dropping hints, tiny Easter eggs, hearing the words, a little bit of knowledge goes a really long way, especially because I am a big believer that education comes in like layers. So it's a little now and a little more later because they've got something a little bit bigger that they can build that on. They can have a little bit of a deeper understanding later if they've got a little bit of a bite-sized, just prior knowledge, little bit of reference that they can make, recalling that information from before. Now, I'm also somebody who doesn't feel the need, and I know that a lot of people really don't like this, and I know that a lot of curriculum pieces really, really stress things like memorization of math facts. And yes, is it a little easier? Sure. Does it help them out? Absolutely. But I don't harp on it. I don't hold them back because I know that they're going to get that at some point. It's not a thing that, she's never going to make it to the end of her life without being able to easily recall 6 times 4. There's no reason I need to stress it when she's young. So I am somebody who does not subscribe to the idea that kids have to be able to memorize every little thing. I am not a huge fan of memorization. I am a huge fan of being able to find the information and knowing how to find the information because, again, I just don't place as high a value on memorization. So it is not a big deal to me. Yes, my little one has done history for ages and ages. Can she give you literal, timelines of things? Can she tell you what year Columbus made it to America? No, she can't. And I'm okay with that. Why? Because she's only in 3rd grade. Like, she will get there. Those things will stick. And there is no reason that I need to stress about that on the front end. Now, this brings me into kind of a tangent on this same topic. So often, I have people ask me, well, how do you know they're learning? Like, well, then how do you know? If you can't test them and grade them on it, if you are not, sending out portfolios for review, if you are not sending them in for some sort of standardized testing, like how do you know? How do you know they're learning if you're not doing that? I would absolutely love to meet the person who is, homeschooling in a manner that is productive for their child, that has no idea what their kids are learning or where they're struggling. I am with my children day in and day out. I am next to them when they are working on things. I am helping them when they struggle. And I am going through and making sure, verifying that they have put in the work. And when there is something that's wrong, we go back over it. There is no question in my mind about what my kids have mastered or what my kids are struggling with. And so often people will be, well, how will you know? How will you know how they're doing if they're not in a classroom of their peers, if they're not taking standardized exams, if you don't have somebody else ensuring that their knowledge is what they've got? Because as a homeschool parent, that is not a situation that I am removed from. I just basically the long and the short of it, the message of this video, the whole point of this is to tell you that not all knowledge needs to be testable. Not every detail needs to be memorized, and not everything that you introduce or expose your children to needs to be for a test or needs to be for information that they can recall back to you like a tiny little crazy parrot. Sometimes information is just information. And sometimes in the really wonderful situations and circumstances, education, information now is going to be something that in 2 years and 10 years, that little snippet that you didn't think was anything, that you didn't think they caught on when you didn't think they were listening, is going to be the thing that they pull back out. And they can either give you the fact you didn't know they had, or they can build on that for something that is bigger later, and that is okay. Not everything needs to be testable, not everything needs to be measured, and not everything needs to be memorized. It is okay if you are just planting the seeds of knowledge now. Just planting the seeds, giving them snippets. There have been animal facts that my daughter has pulled out where I did not know she was listening. There have been things where, my husband's like, hey, what'd you guys learn today? What'd you cover in school this week? And they will pull out a piece of information that I just did not know even registered on their radar. Being able to watch my kids light up because they hear a city name, a fun fact, something. They see a picture, which is one of the reasons that I love family travels and value it so heavily, is that they will see a picture of a landmark and they could tell you where it is or remember what it was like when they saw it in person. Having prior knowledge, planting the seeds, and knowing that you may never see the flower. Being able to know that your kids have some exposure to a wide range of topics. I'm not telling you that it's always going to benefit them, but I can tell you that I like to learn and I will read way too much about anything, and I file those bits of information away, and I'm really, really good at trivia games, in case you were wondering. It's what I like to call Shauna logic. I use what I've got, what I know, what I don't know, and piece it together. But being able to just have a little bit of information, even if it's not testable, measured, even if it's not even always 100% accurate, but having a little bit of that prior knowledge, that exposure to various topics, especially things that are above age level or grade level, that have your kids reaching and learning and questioning and wanting more, or have them in a situation, guys, especially, let's just call it the petty homeschool mom situation, when somebody comes out and they're like, well, what about this? When they start doing those public quizzes, if your kid can drop some two little deep nuggets that are definitely above age level, you're going to feel really good about yourself. So petty mom win for that one. I just want to remind you that not everything has to be hard. Not everything has to be difficult. Not everything has to be testable or measured. It's not all school. Education isn't school. And I've got another video coming up on that later this month, but it is a really important discussion that we need to have, especially as we're heading into the planning season. So Don't underestimate the power of a simple audiobook. Don't underestimate the power of a great movie or a wonderful, read aloud. Not everything has to be hard and not everything has to live up to the standards of taking a test on it, okay? It is meant to be learned, loved, enjoyed. And again, even if they don't pick up everything right now, planting the seeds for later is going to serve you so well every time. But you have to do it in a manner just like a farmer's going to do or a gardener's going to do. You plant it, you water it, and you walk away. It doesn't have to be a big involved thing. You're not constantly digging it up to make sure it's sprouting roots. You just leave it alone. Not enough people are good, I think, at just patience, letting it rise, letting the dough rest, letting the roots take hold, whatever it is, however you want to call it. Guys, I hope that you found any of this helpful, entertaining, or informative. If you did, please scroll down, hit the big red subscribe button, turn on that bell for notifications, and give this video a thumbs up. I would love to hear, so do it for me down in the comments. What is a thing that your kid just pulled out of thin air that you had no idea they had in there? Because those are my favorites. So please share with us. It's also so motivating as more people are coming to this way of life. I really think that we're going to get a big influx headed into the 2025-2026 school year, and I am here for it. So let's band together. Let's build this network. Let's give a little inspiration for those seeds that we are planting now that will be pulled back out later. Guys, bye.